February 23, 2024. This is the S&P 500 E-Futures Mini on the 2000 tick chart using NinjaTrader 8. This is what the chart looked like today. There was no economic data that I could find. And I took one trade and it ended up being a losing trade. But this one trade was a very bad entry. It also wasn't well thought out. It was kind of a knee-jerk reaction. After that, I kind of didn't take any more trades. But then today itself, the trading was, I would say, really more challenging than usual. It might be my mental aspect because I didn't really I kind of had a rough night, so trading was I don't think I was quite in tune. So it definitely was probably good that I stopped trading after the one loss. And even then, the volume was really low and the candles took forever to complete, and things were just kind of really choppy overall. The ranges that I found didn't really have consistent highs and consistent lows. So overall, it was kind of a difficult day to get trades, and there weren't very many setups that I could find. So I'm going to go through this right now. So this is the pre-market. So pre-market, it kind of bottomed out. So I did create this as a new pre-market low, and the pre-market high looked like it was here. So I wasn't entirely convinced it was going to be a trading range yet, but it could be a trading range. But I was thinking things are looking more bullish. Yesterday was kind of this crazy bullish push up. It was gradual. So I'm thinking today would be similar to that because if you look at the pre-market from yesterday, it did something similar, except it didn't come back down and push up. So I was thinking it's just going to be a continuation day of prices just rallying. So I drew this trend channel and there's no trades. And if there were, I wouldn't have been able to take it because I don't start trading until the market opens. Prices are moving. You do have a second entry long here. It's double top, first entry long, second entry long. This second entry long, I didn't mark it. I saw it, but I don't like it just because it's an inside bar. It's kind of out in the middle of nowhere. I did see a potential consolidation, like a trading range, and there's not that much room to the top, so I left this one alone. Prices then continue pushing up, and at first, this is what the eventual channel looked like, but I was thinking maybe there's like something tighter here, but eventually I just ended up with this yellow one. It enters another consolidation area, and this is only about like 2 to 3 points large. So, and the candles themselves are about two points. So I when it's this tight and consolidating, I don't want to take a second entry or any kind of trades, even off the bottom, because there's just not that much room to scalp out, especially when this is forming already at the top. Because it's already at the top, this could be a resistance. Prices could push down, or it can make another leg up. So it's just a little bit ambiguous to me. Prices then continue moving. I do see this as a potential triple test. I'm going to move this down a bit, make it easier to see. But I did see this is one touch, two touch, three touch, and it's a triple test. It's bouncing off this bottom, which does seem like it is the trading range. You could say it's bouncing off the EMA here. It's the first break of this yellow up channel that I've drawn. But the thing I don't like is this is the all-time, well, excuse me, not the all-time highs, but this is the high of day. And the high of day, let me just check something really quick. This is actually pretty close to, this is actually at this time of day is the all-time highs. So it's never been up here before. There's not enough room to scalp out before. There's obviously some kind of resistance here, and if not, there's some kind of resistance up here. So I felt weary of this type of trade and this type of setup, so I left it alone. Looks like it flashed up and it continued moving, but then it consolidates again and it starts moving back down. And it pushes up and it's trying to keep pushing and making new all-time highs. But I didn't see anything that I particularly liked. There is a new low here. It's a first entry short. Technically, you created a second entry short here because it pushed up and then potentially pushed back down. But you're at the all-time highs. Yes, you could push back down to, and originally I had the trading range tighter. You could be pushing back down to the other side, but I just didn't feel, I wanted a stronger setup because there's the two dojis in a row and I'm not that keen on it. The prices started pushing down, oscillates, and creates a new high here. Well, this isn't the new, this is a new swing high. So it's a first entry long pullback, second entry long. Now, second entry long, I wanted a kind of a cleaner triple test because I was thinking, is there anything here besides this second entry long? So I drew this and I connected it down here. I said, okay, touched once, touched twice. It fell short. And I was thinking maybe it's actually something about like this. Now, keep in mind the trade I already missed, and I was analyzing it later when I was trying to position my bottom of the trading range. So you do technically have a triple test potential, second entry long, but I wasn't too sure where the bottom of the range really was. It's after this break of the screen channel made one push up. This could be the start of a second push, but it could also want to push back down and test the lows of the screen because even though you might be playing range rules, there is a clear channel here, and it's a little bit unclear if the channel or the range is actually up here. So I could just be switching over to this trading trend channel trend rules, but I wasn't too sure. So since I wasn't sure, I decided to just kind of sit on my hands and wait. I just put it back where I thought it was. Prices then continue moving. So after I missed this, I wasn't uh, fully, I guess, uh, I was a little bit not top of my game today for sure. And this is setting up for this trade that I took, which in hindsight there's no reason to take this trade, but I'll go through my thinking process, which is flawed. There's a new high here. I saw first entry long pullback, second entry long. So I thought this was a higher low. I also saw this as a new low, first entry short, second entry short, failed second entry short. So keep in mind, it already did a second entry long, higher low, and I thought, okay, well, prices are obviously moving back up. It created this, and I said, oh, well, obviously this is another higher low. Keep in mind the higher low was already right here. Second entry long was made. Failed second entry short was already made. It's clearly consolidating here. I convinced myself that it ticked one tick below and pushed up. It didn't even close at the high, so it wasn't even a strong enough close for the setup. But I just determined and decided that this is a trade I want to take to go long to push to the other side. Keep in mind, there's no justification for this trade. So boom, I enter. I wanted to get a little bit of risk reduction, so I actually put my trade a little bit back, and I put my stop one tick below these two guys. It chops around, and then it flashes and takes me out. So what went wrong here? Well, everything. This trade should not have taken place. There was no reason to take this trade. It's not a clean setup. It's technically a higher low to this one, but I didn't wait for this setup to complete. There's no trade here, yet I took it. So that was definitely foolish. And it kind of made me pretty frustrated with myself. I already knew I didn't feel on top of my game because I had a rough night, that I shouldn't really have traded, or I should have waited for something very bulletproof. So this is more emotional. Then prices continue moving. It chops and it creates this really bad choppy mess. So it's a good thing I kind of stopped trading. And when I saw this kind of unfolding, I was pretty happy I didn't want to take any of this because it's just messy. You do technically have a new high here. It's a first entry long, second entry long here. It's matching this one. It almost engulfs this completely. Well, I guess you could say it does. But other than a second entry long, there's no clear other key entry points. It's kind of pushing out of this pre-market high, but depending on how you drew your trading range, let's say you had it up here, it's unclear what prices really want to do. Is this a failed breakout, or is it, going to continue back down to here? So it's a little confusing. Decided there's no trade there, no real trade to take, so I left it alone. Prices then continue chopping. It just gets really noisy. You have a new low here. It's first entry short. Technically, you have a second entry short. I don't like the second entry short. It's coming from a failed breakout. It made one attempt up. And the second attempt made it a little bit higher. So I wasn't sure whether it's going to keep pushing up or if it's going to come back down. EMA doesn't matter quite as much right now, but it is starting to trend down. So even though I'm not using it as a key entry point, I am paying attention of what its tendency is. It was clearly pushing up, moved sideways, and now it is starting to trend downward, getting close to the bottom of this trading range. That just kind of gave me pause. Flashes through, drops around, hits this consolidation area. I don't see anything that I particularly like. Continues. It's now hugging the EMA kind of downwards, and I draw this trend line. It touches 3 times nicely. The bottom I wasn't really 100% sure of at the time. I was thinking perhaps it was actually something higher like this, so it fit pretty well here. Had an overshoot here, then it's chopping again sideways, and it chops and it breaks through a second time. At that point, I decided to extend this downwards, so it looked like it fit pretty well here. So at 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touch. But then it kind of pushes back up, gets a little bit choppy again. Moves up what I think is this green channel, has a break. So I'm thinking the green channel wants to test this high, but the orange channel wants to test this low. So I have to be very careful how I see setups. So it starts pushing back up. It meets the high of this green channel. At this point, I was thinking maybe there's another channel here. Maybe it's like a spike in a more gradual channel. So I first drew this yellow one first. I drew the top side, then I tried to match the bottom. I thought, okay, well, there's one touch, two touch, three touch. So I redrew it as this yellow channel, thinking, okay, there's potentially a setup here. Then it creates what I think is a second entry long. So this is double top, this new high, first entry long, pull back. Here creates a second entry long. This second entry long, I thought it might be a possible trade because it is bouncing off the bottom of this yellow channel, which is confirming you have enough room to the high. And right now, the EMA looks like it's acting as some kind of support. Plus, this is the signal bar for a second entry long, and it engulfed this previous candle. So it from new high, first entry long, it tried to pull back, and it rejected it pretty strongly. The bulls came back in really strongly. So this might have been a possible trade, and there's enough room, just barely, to get out before it hits the high. Looks like it would have worked. Prices then creates this overshoot, comes back down. I don't see anything particularly nice. So it's a new high. It's a first entry long pullback, creates a second entry long, then this failure. And I just marked this for myself as a second entry long failure. It's an almost setup. What would have been a better is if this candle came up and touched and it didn't close this far down and it closed bearish. Even then, if this candle was still the same characteristic, it's hard to know that this big flash down was going to happen. So this is a failed second entry long, kind of an almost setup. It just fell short of being a nice, safe trade. Prices then continue moving. It's a new low, first entry short, second entry short. So the second entry short above the EMA, continuing on this down channel, but you don't know if it's going to try to test this up channel. And I just didn't really like the setup. It didn't look too clean. Prices then continue moving. I don't have this blue trading range drawn yet, but I did suspect there's some kind of support here. So when it touches like 3 times here and it causes a failed breakout, that's when I created it into a channel. I'm thinking, okay, there might be a big channel that's in play here. No clean setup is a new high. It's a first entry long pull up, second entry long, and this second entry long looks like it's about to fail. So I thought this might have been a possible trade. It's a good signal bar, rejected by the EMA. It's at the top of this potential green down channel, and there's enough room for a quick scalp. You do have to push it to move 1 point below this guy to make sure you do get your one tick below this guy to get your one scalp. But I thought this might have been a possible trade. You'd have to sit through this candle here, and at this point, I was noticing these candles are taking a while to close. This is like 10:59, and this is 10:01. So this took 2 minutes. Then from here to here, it flashed down rather quickly. Then chops around, it breaks out of this green down channel and flushes down, creates another fail breakout because I was thinking this is a possible trading range now, and it looks like that. So I'm thinking prices are, well, I'm expecting prices to come back up to test this high. Creates a first entry short, second entry short, but here, seeing this in real time, nothing is telling me to get a short prepared. It did break out of the orange channel and test the highs, but that doesn't mean you should get a trade, get ready to go short. Looks like it would have worked if you just had the hunch or you just knew. Then prices continue moving. It flashes up. There's second entries in here, but they're not very clean, very reliable. Because technically you have a new low here, first entry short, second entry short. This is your signal bar for the second entry short. Nothing here tells you to go short. And even if you saw this one close, this candle in real time, you see this. That's not very reassuring because it closed higher than halfway point. So you don't know, even though it's a bearish bar, you don't know if it's going to continue upwards. This is just ambiguous. Of course, then it flashes down really strongly, drops around, continues moving, and this is just kind of noisy trading right now. Noisy price action, nothing I particularly like. There's a new low here. It's a first entry short, second entry short here. So you don't know to go short, and then you see, okay, there's obviously a second entry short. It's hard to say that it's going to keep moving down because you could be in this smaller trading range of this big one, but it's a little unclear. and then it flashes up and continues moving. And this is already toward the end of the day. And this kind of goes into the last 10 minutes of the day and goes into the close. So overall, it was a more difficult day for me. Aside from my own personal issues I had, it was just the price action just wasn't very clean. It was just kind of choppy, not that great, didn't offer very many setups. So overall, wasn't the best way to end the week, but I am still green for the week because I had more winning trades and losing trades this week. So I think I should just be happy about that. And I'm glad I didn't get suckered in to taking any, well, get suckered in and taking any foolish trades. But overall, it was kind of a frustrating day. It wasn't the best, and hopefully next week or even this whole month, because I know there have been several trading days this month that have been pretty junky, pretty slow. Price action wasn't obvious, at least not obvious to me at my skill level, and it just wasn't the most conducive to find good trades. So hopefully that was helpful.